I promise you, Yankee fans, we will get to your bitching and your whining and your complaining and your Aaron Boone is an idiot and this lineup stinks and I hate Brian Cashman and why did my mommy and daddy make me a Yankee fan? We will get to all of that, I promise. But I believe sometimes in life, you've got to smell the roses. Sometimes in life, you got to enjoy the positivity. Sometimes in life, you've got to cherish what you just witnessed. So, for my fellow New York metropolitan fans, stand up! It's our Mardi Gras! Because the New York Mets beat the daylights out of the New York Yankees. And before you tell me, Tiki, but the Yankees aren't any good. What's the big deal? It's just any other game, blah, blah, blah. The Mets never do this to the New York Yankees.
Well,
never!
The Mets are really good right now.
Yeah, damn right they are.
Since the summer started, let's say June and July, what, 31 and 15 over the last 46 games?
That is correct.
They have been unbelievable, led by Francisco Lindor. Lukey, you might be right. He could win the MVP.
He's on his way.
I'm telling you.
Just keep it up.
He's certainly now in the conversation, whereas earlier in the season he was far from it. But, I mean, what makes this exciting for Met fans is that it's also fun. It's not, hey, we're just winning some games here or there. It's been fun to watch it. And so it's engaging. In fact, if I wasn't a Yankee fan, I could see why people would gravitate towards this team. You know, unlike the Yankees, where you're just despondent about XYZ or, you know, this person. You look at the Mets lineup, and it feels like you can gravitate towards every story that's there, whether it's Lindor's story or Nimmo's story, even Pete's story, which hasn't been spectacular. But
Pete hit a home run yesterday. Was it a big home run?
Of course it was a big home run. They were
losing in the game, and he took Garrett Cole deep.
100%. His 20th of the year. And then he got surpassed by Francisco Lindor, who's due. Right? But my point is, like, every one of these stories, from Alvarez to Vientos, they all are interesting. Even Tyrone Taylor.
Well, the beautiful thing about Tyrone Taylor, and I'll own when I'm wrong, and I've been wrong a lot the last few days, and I'm okay with that. And I think that's a part of why I'm so ecstatic.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely thought 48 hours ago on this show that the Mets were going to have a tough 2 days against the New York Yankees. And I gave my reasons then. I don't need to repeat it. But I genuinely thought it. It wasn't reverse psychology. It wasn't just say something to say something. It's how I genuinely felt as a Met fan. And I think sometimes as a sports fan, when you are so wrong about your team, but in a good way, it feels even better.
Yeah,
I was genuinely stunned, more so yesterday than even the day before. Like, the way they won the day before was a dramatic victory. Certainly the Jake Diekman, Aaron Judge situation was crazy. But I did not think, despite the Mets' success against Garrett Cole, which they've had, I did not think, especially after the way the game started, Glaber hits a home run, Cole retires the first 8, I didn't think the Mets would take Garrett Cole and pour sand on his face, shove him into a locker, throw him on the ground, give him a wedgie, and shove him in a locker.
Well,
I didn't see that happening. I think that kind of stuff made last night, for me as a Met fan, more satisfying than I could have expected.
Yeah, and I wonder when it's going to flip for the, this is just Met fan. Because there's a lot of...
What do you mean by that?
This is just us playing a bad Yankee team. Well, this is just us having, favorable opponents. I mean, what point does the Met fan truly say, we're actually a good team?
Well, I think most Met fans, I can't speak for everybody, but I am, and maybe it's the delusion of beating the Yankees 2 in a row. Maybe it's the fact that they've responded to a little bit of a slump that appeared to be starting with the road struggles against Washington and Pittsburgh, and then they responded with the big homestand. Maybe it's because they struggled against Miami, and now they responded by winning the final game of that series and then winning 2 straight against the Yankees. But I look at this Met team, and it has been 2 months of this, and I'm giddy. And I look at this team and say, we are good. That's why what you need to do, Teak, and I love you, and I understand why you said it. It's okay to be wrong. I've been wrong about plenty. I'm admitting it. It is time to retire It's an evaluation year.
Oh, of course it is.
It's gone, dude.
But it's
evaluation completed. Go win.
By the way,
go win.
I was never wrong about that. That was the reality of what was happening.
You were right in the moment, but on July 25th, the evaluation's over, right?
Oh, I mean, of course it's over now, especially if you have a great series this weekend, 4-game set against the Atlanta Braves, who are, I mean, they're banged up. Chris Sale has been amazing somehow out of nowhere. He's back again. And I forget the kid at the back of the rotation, in the middle of the rotation, who's also really good. He's pitching game 4 of this series. I forget his name now. But other than that, they're beatable in so many ways. And so if you take 3 out of 4 and you're now ahead of the Braves this weekend, like we're evaluating, we might be okay and maybe we'll do something because we could make the postseason, that's gone. Right? If you jump the Braves this weekend, the Mets have to say, why not us? Well, right? That has to start being the mantra. Well, why not us?
I'll tell you where this has also moved to. When this season started, most Met fans, and again, I understand why you felt this way and where you were coming from, you didn't think this was a playoff team. You looked at this team mainly because of the offseason and said they're going to win 75 games. They got the worst rotation ever. Why should I believe in the offense? Well, expectations change. And as we sit here 5 days before the trade deadline, as we sit here on July 25th, the New York Mets are in the middle of a wild card race where they could be wild card team number 1.
Yep.
They could be wild card team number 2. They could be wild card team number 3. And look, if they don't play good baseball, they could miss the playoffs entirely. But I think the expectations have greatly changed. They have changed to the point where, as a Met fan, making the playoffs isn't enough. Making the playoffs and winning a round is probably now what we start to think from this team, that we start to believe from this team, because this team has shown us a lot over 2 months. You know, baseball's a weird game, man, and I try to show this to you on air because I believe this. Don't get crazy over 2 weeks. Don't get crazy over 3 weeks. And I've said that for good things and bad things. When Lindor was struggling early, back of the baseball card. Even with the Yankees struggles recently, hey, look, they'll be fine. When you're playing well, calm down. Every team gets hot. This team, for 46 games, they're 31-15. That's an enormous sample size. And we've seen it from all different contributors, from Lindor playing like an MVP, to Mark Vientos having a rock-solid year, to getting contributions from guys that maybe you don't expect, like a Jose Iglesias.
Yeah.
They're doing this with a bullpen that is still on life support, and I think they've done enough now for you as a Met fan, maybe not to think they're going to win the World Series, but to think they better be a playoff team. And then once they're in the postseason, whether it's St. Louis or it's Milwaukee or it's Atlanta or it's Pittsburgh, whoever's in the way, your expectation would be they can beat that team.
Yeah,
and that's
course.
the new expectation. That's why the evaluation days are over. They are a contender in the National League, and they've got more work to do, but they're on their way.
Yeah, I mean, the young brothers, Alex and Danny and Alex, they pitched well yesterday.
I know.
And so, like, do you really need to go make a big move?
No, they need a bullpen arm. Don't start with me.
I'm just telling you.
No, don't tell me you believe in Danny Young.
I don't. I'm just telling you.
Listen, I'm giddy today. I ain't that giddy.
It started to feel like you're going to do something, I think. But if you don't, are you upset?
Yes, actually, I'm glad you said that. Yes. I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
I would be upset because sometimes as a front office, you need to reward a team. And you need to show your team we believe in you. Now, my expectations over the next 5 days are not for the Mets to do some kind of blockbuster. They're not in on Tariq Skubal, not saying they should be. They're not in on Garrett Crochet, not saying they should be. I like Jazz Chisholm. They may not be in on Jazz Chisholm. But at the bare minimum, what this Met team needs to do, not just for me as a loyal season ticket holder, not just for Tommy as the captain of positivity, but for that locker room, for Brandon Nimmo, for Francisco Lindor, for everybody in that room, is to show them we believe in you and we're going to add the horses you need. And it's obvious what they need. They need multiple arms out of the bullpen. And I'm not saying it's going to be the top of the market. I'm not saying it needs to be Tanner Scott. But there needs to be reinforcement, because I do think it's the dangerous game to not add somebody, because what kind of message does that show to your roster?
Yeah, it's also the argument that if you don't and someone else does, they've gotten better and you haven't.
Sure.
Right? You're either getting better or you're getting worse because nobody sits the same.
The Pittsburgh Pirates are going to get Jazz Chisholm. Write that down. They're going to get better. That's a team you're competing with.
Yeah, and I'm sure Atlanta's going to go get better because Atlanta, who's been sitting in second place in the East for the entirety of the season, are about to lose this because of their injuries to their starting pitcher. I don't know how serious the Fried injury is, but they've already lost the starting pitcher.
Spencer Strider's already out.
Strider's gone for the season with UCL, and Acuna's out with an ACL. So they have like all of these issues, but they've still been really good. You know they're going to upgrade. And so the question becomes, is this an arms race or a deadline arms race? Not literally, but because it could get a position player. But is this a deadline's arms race that David Stearns should be in?
It's not an arms race.
And that's why I'm saying maybe you don't have to do something massive.
No, it's not massive. I agree. I don't think they should do something massive. I don't expect them to do anything massive. I think what they need to do is reinforce their biggest weakness. What the Mets have done to get to this point, 31-15 in their last 46 games, right in the middle of a wild card race. They are right there for wild card spot number 1, and that's a big freaking deal. That's a big deal for Steve Cohen because that means at least 2, maybe 3 home games in the postseason at Citi Field.
Right.
So trust me, it's a big deal for everybody. But what they have done is their offense has become a major, major strength. And it's become a major strength because Brandon Nimmo, until recently, has been Brandon Nimmo. Because Francisco Lindor has been an MVP caliber player. Because Mark Vientos has blossomed into a star. Because J.D. Martinez, despite some recent slumps, has been a rock-solid bat in the middle of the order. Because 1 through 9, they have a very balanced lineup. The opposite of the Yankees. Not trying to throw shade, just showing the differences. And so their lineup has become their strength. Their defense has been completely cleaned up after getting off to a bad start. And what I would say about their starting pitching, and this is what I needed them to do at the beginning of the season, is just not be awful. Just be average.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it has. Do they walk too many people? Yes. Do they go deep enough in games? No. It's not their strength.
No.
This isn't your father's Mets or my Mets. They're not based on young, amazing starting pitching, but their offense. Their depth of their offense, the never being out of the game, that's the strength of the team. Their weakness is their bullpen, and they need to add an arm or two. But right now, and I promise you, fellow Met fans, I try not to be too giddy on the highs of a season and too low on the bottoms of a season. But after beating the crap out of the New York Yankees in the Bronx, after climbing to within a game and a half of the Atlanta Braves, you need to have your pulse checked if you're not excited as a Mets fan.
Well, I mean, it happened quickly because I felt like the Met fan 2 days ago was very ish.
You know why?
Like this series against the Yankees truly turned the emotions of the Met fan.
In a way.
And I wonder if that's a good thing or is that a little bit dangerous?
No, I'll tell you why it's a good thing. Because, at least for me, when the Mets had their incredible run to get back to relevance, the thing I said to you guys was, okay, this is the most important part. What are you going to do now? You're not going to continue to play 600 baseball, so what's next? And the Mets had their first little pebble in the road. Sean brought it up. Couldn't stop talking about it. And that pebble in the road was a concert, right?
Yeah, but that was nonsense.
No, but
that was Sean being a troll.
But you know what, Tiki? It wasn't fully Sean being a troll because there were plenty of Met fans who feared that concert on a Friday night.
But it's a concert. It has nothing to do with anything.
But, Tiki, they responded by losing the final 2 games to Houston, by splitting with the Nationals, by splitting with the Pirates, and there was a concern of, this is supposed to be the soft part of the schedule. What's going to happen? And the first response that I thought was really important was what they did on that homestand. They beat the crap out of the Nationals. They won 2 out of 3 against Colorado, and there was this, they're stabilizing. Then they come out of the All-Star break against the garbage Miami Marlins. And let's face it, they were lucky to get a split.
Right.
And that was concern level number 2. So coming into this series against the Yankees, there was a fear, at least from me, of, all that winning is about to go for naught.
Right,
and they responded the way they did.
Yeah, because now after the post-All-Star break, they've won 4 of 6. They're 600 baseball
That's
again.
right.
At post-All-Star break. And so, to me, the Met fan has to pick they have to pick a stretch that they're going to judge their emotions on. Is it a series? Is it a 10-game stretch? Is it a month stretch or a 2-week stretch? Whatever it is, you're in danger of riding a roller coaster, an emotional roller coaster, because of how things go or don't go.
No, it's the opposite of that. The stretch I look at is the response to what appears to be the beginning of falling down. Losing 2 out of 3 to the Astros felt like, this is the beginning of falling down, and they responded. Splitting against Miami on the road, again, felt like the beginning of falling down, and they responded. Like, if you look at the Mets' record since the OMG concert, it's not like it's 600 baseball, but they've solidified, and they've responded. And one thing about this Met core that has scared a lot of people is that what are they going to do when the pressure is on the line? I brought that up to you a month ago.
Yep.
What's going to happen when now the pressure is on? And one of the early returns I've seen that really excites me is they've responded. That win 2 nights ago at Yankee Stadium, that win even a day earlier in Miami, those were big, important wins. What they did last night to Garrett Cole, oh, my God.
Yeah, but
they shoved him in a locker.
Well, they don't fear him, clearly.
They own him.
I know.
Some may say they're his daddy. So that's what matters. Now, look.
I can't go there.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. You can go there. If the Yankees were Pedro's daddy, then trust me, the Mets are Garrett Cole's daddy. But that's fine. That's the past. The Yankees don't matter to the Mets anymore. You're right about the importance of tonight and the importance of this weekend. But what I now have as a Met fan, and what I think every Met fan should have, is something you didn't have, at least most of you didn't, in March, February, April, and May. And that's belief. Because they've earned it.
Yeah.
Sometimes belief shouldn't just be handed to you because you want it to be true. It needs to be earned. And this Met team has earned it.
You know what, Evan? You brought up the concert, and everybody in the No Fun Police, Sean Marash included, they like to keep score. Well, I like to keep score, too. And the scoreboard says Mets 4, Yankees 0. And, Evan, you'll like this one. Survey says 1 more for the good guys.
Yes, indeed.
Ooh.
And you know why that matters? And I know, Tiki, this isn't gonna move you, but it's very important to say to every single Met fan out there, the New York Mets don't do this to the New York Yankees. In fact, only one time in the history of the Subway Series did the Mets ever sweep the New York Yankees. And let me tell you a story about that season. The season sucked. The team sucked. The Mets won 4 straight games against the Yankees in, I think it was mid to late May of 2013. No one remembers 2013. In fact, the only thing I remember about those 4 wins against the Yankees was that I got dumped in the middle of it. Now, it turned out to be the best thing ever because I went on to meet my wife, and I'm very, very happy.
I'm a loser.
But that's what I remember from that sweep. And here's the thing about that sweep. You knew, Met fans, that sweep meant nothing. You want to know why? When the Mets swept the Yankees in 2013, they pulled to within 8 games of 500. You knew they weren't any good.
Yeah.
You knew it was a fart in the wind. This feels different. And for all the angst that I write about in my Mets Bible on sale now, I dropped something, and all the many times that the Yankees humbled us, defeated us, embarrassed us, gave us a wedgie over the last 2 days. And look, we will talk plenty of fair and balanced Yankee baseball a little bit later on, so please don't take this personal. But for these 2 days, we kicked your asses, we embarrassed you, and I'm not used to that. Loogie's not used to that. This isn't our world. So Met fans, with class, let's have class. Let's enjoy the fact that we just lost our beat the Yankees ass virginity. We never do it. We never beat them. We never shove them on the ground. We never force Sean to tweet out, Yankee fans, be kind. Just remember, we suck. We never do that. So for Met fans out there and for Yankee fans, please understand this is being said with respect. We're just so excited because we did it for the first time.
You know what, Evan? You're classy. I'm not. This isn't the 90s anymore. You were big brother then. Now you're little brother, Yankee fans. Go fetch me a sandwich. I'm the future. The Mets are the present, and you are the past. Sleep tight.
Well, you never know. But here's the thing.
It's all in front of you.
This is you can't predict that. Here's what the truth is.
Go ahead.
And this is really all that matters.
Yes.
The Mets have better players than the Yankees.
Yeah.
They just do.
Say it again, except say it louder.
The Mets have better players than the Yankees.
Can you say it sexier now?
the Mets have better players than the Yankees.
Let's go, Mets!
It's just a fact. Now, the Yankees might have the two best players.
Yeah, they do.
But the Mets have better players than the Yankees.
Now,
so the fact that they win, they should.
So to the Yankee fan out there, I promise you, there's a lot to talk about today, including the evolution of Aaron Boone getting angry last night. Also, more on the lineup change that Boone has to make and what the Yankees can do to fix it. I promise we will not ignore the New York Yankees. But at the start of this show, in a city and a radio station that only talks about negativity, today we celebrate the positivity for 35% of our town. The New York Mets just whipped that ass. Let's go, Mets. We'll get to your calls coming up, 888-808-1019.